If the auditor is following the process flow route and started in the warehouse, then the dispensary comes next. This is where the starting materials are measured out in the correct amounts in preparation for manufacturing into finished products. The scale of manufacture usually dictates whether there's bear in mind as we audit the area. For example, the wrong quantity of the right material can be measured out, and maybe end up with either a subpotent or superpotent product, or one material can be cross-contaminated with a previously dispensed substance, in which case QC laboratory analysis must be able to detect the error because it could have a severe impact on the patient. Alternatively, the materials intended for one product or batch can be mixed up with the material intended for another product, are separated properly from other activities and other parts of the factory. And then we ought to make sure that the dispensary is clean, thoroughly and regularly clean. Because, and it's a blinding glimpse of the obvious, that poor standards of cleanliness provide the potential for cross-contamination. Ask if dust is generated here. If solids are being weighed out, there probably is. Check what specific provisions are in place for both engineering and procedural to avoid cross-contamination, and to facilitate benches or floors, or any documents. And there ought to be some indication of the cleanliness state, so that everyone knows the area status. The cleaning SOP should be available, and ask to see the dispensary logbook showing the sequence of activity and the sequence of materials being handled in the dispensary. And don't forget, it's not just the room that has to be clean. There are the utensils and equipment as well, including spatulas, measuring cylinders, balances, etc. Questions to ask sizes, from laboratory high-precision balances for weighing very small quantities of materials, most likely to be active pharmaceutical ingredients, right up to weigh cells for weighing multi-kilogram quantities of excipients. They should all be included in a calibration and maintenance program, because electronic balances can really only be adjusted in response to calibration drift by highly trained balance specialists. But there ought to be frequent tests by the dispensary personnel using check weights. How does the company organize dispensing? There should certainly never be two different active ingredients in the dispensary at the same time, or even one following another without cleaning. We would certainly not want to have excipients in the room at the same time as active pharmaceutical ingredients, and end up with a risk of some common excipient bulk material carrying cross-contamination over a range of products. We can follow compliance in these areas by just watching what goes on, and having another close look at the logbook to see just what the dispensing, and are they labelled correctly. Also, when are they labelled? How are they labelled? And are there any unlabelled dispense materials in the dispensary? How many people work in the dispensary? This is one of the specific areas of GMP where an independent check by a second person is explicitly required. Make sure this is described in procedures and that